Hello and welcome to More Than a Game, a podcast dedicated to the Premier League, the A-League and more. Today on the show, it was the night before Christmas in match day 14 of the Prem. No defender was stirring, but Man United a pen. The Palace defenders nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Salah and Firmino danced in their heads. On the King Power touchline, so lively and quick, we knew after the Toby OG that Jose would be mad. More rapid than eagles, the red cards they came. The ref whistled, checked the VAR, then called them by name. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and reached into his pocket and flashed them the jerk. We felt for Sheffield and West Brom at the full-time whistle. They might be going down like the down of a thistle. But a Liverpool fan did exclaim, as if 4 points was out of sight, "We're top of the league, fuck Brighton, and to all a good night." My name's Colby.
Beautiful, Colby. You're going to warn me about that sort of intro.
Just thought I'd drop a pre-Christmas poem in, boys. Get into the festive spirits and time of recording. We're coming up to Christmas, and the Premier League games are coming thick and fast. So as I said, my name's Colby, and I'm joined today by George, just to whip through match day 14 of the Premier League. A midweek match day. It's just wrapped up with Chelsea and West Ham. George, how are we feeling, mate?
Oh, look, I don't know what day of the week it is. It's cold and wet here. We're in a further lockdown since the last time I spoke to you, but it seems like there's a game on every day. So I'm enjoying that aspect of being here, at least.
And what a turn of events for us in the pod here, George, as well. This is I think the first time where I've just rolled out of bed to record a pod. I'm up in Brisbane at the moment.
So that's right.
The time difference is even more. I've got a coffee. It's late night for you. To add further confusion to the matters.
I wonder whose performance is going to improve and who's going to be on the decline. But
I don't know. I think I might be dipping first thing in the morning.
It's getting close to my bedtime. So same.
I've been brought a coffee. So hopefully I'm going to pep up during the pod.
We're both compromised.
Why don't we just whip through the Premier League match day 14? So I guess we'll start with the last match and the Chelsea game, George. Chelsea 3, West Ham 0. So in this one, Thiago Silva grabbed an opening goal pretty early. Then Tammy helped himself to the winning goal by cutting Timo's lunch, and then got another one a minute later when Pulisic tackled Fabianski. Is this scoreline a bit flattering to Chelsea? What did you make of the game?
Yeah, it was a bit of a rubbish game, to be honest. I would say West Ham didn't start great, and Aaron Creswell just had an absolute mare of a game playing. I think it was Tammy on for the onside for the second goal, and not marking Thiago Silva for the first goal. But a bit of a cagey game. Chelsea took the lead and sort of didn't attack too much, and West Ham didn't attack much in the first half. West Ham came out in the second half, made Chelsea look a bit nervous and nervy moments there until the second goal was scored. So Chelsea will be happy to get the win, but the performance wasn't great, and West Ham as well were a bit toothless up front. So Haller had one of those games where he was pretty non-existent, and I was a bit worried when they brought Ben Rama on, but that's the time when Chelsea scored their second, so to sort of snuff any West Ham chances out. But yeah, I think it was one of those gritty wins where Chelsea didn't play too well, and West Ham helped them a little bit with some of their defending.
Yeah, because people will look back at this scoreline and see 3-0 to Chelsea, but I mean, there were two very late goals. So yeah, really it was a pretty tight, nervy game. And like you said, no Antonio for West Ham. That's sort of
makes a massive difference.
Really, the difference for them, isn't it? Haller's not the sort of same striker. But on the Chelsea side, I guess we saw Tammy grab those two late goals. Has he worked his way back into the starting 11 now, you think?
Well, Frank was just interviewed, and he was saying Giroud's played a lot of games in a row, and he wasn't dropped. He was more rested, so Tammy sort of came in and took the chance. And I think it'll be a bit of horses for courses with Tammy and Giroud playing when the defence is sort of more suited to a quick running game or a more sort of target man, link man sort of thing as well. So I think that was the case, and I think Chelsea will be happy with the victory. But on on cutting lunches and Timo. He's really out of form, Timo Werner, and the media's cottoned onto it here, and there's mounting pressure on him, and you can see it actually. He's snatching at a lot of his chances, and looks cutting a frustrated figure. So hopefully, I think it's 8 games where he hasn't scored. He hit the crossbar tonight, but he doesn't look like he's got his shooting boots on. He looks like he's playing in molds when he needs the screw-ins.
That's it. He's playing in loafers. He's looking like he's starting to make the wrong decisions as well. Like we saw even a couple of games ago, he was creating so many chances, but he was shooting when he should have been passing and passing when he should have been shooting, and that's just classic like striker when they're in their own head, isn't it?
It's confidence. It's just a confidence thing, and I mean, he probably didn't get the level of scrutiny he gets now coming to Chelsea when he was playing in Germany, or maybe for the national team sometimes, but not week in, week out. And welcome to the big leagues. And he's still getting in the right areas, which is a good thing. It's just decision making and confidence is on the wane as winter is hit. So hopefully he can get a cheap goal or two and boost the confidence. Get a couple of easy ones in, and on his bike.
Someone needs to just win a pen. Just give the man a pen.
Yeah. If he misses that, though, then...
Yeah, I know. Anyway, speaking of pens, we better move on. Manchester United 6, Leeds 2. This game was wild, George. Two McTominay goals in the first 4 minutes.
I wonder what that was paying.
out of control. Bruno Fernandes goal. Like these first 3 goals were such good moves. I had to check that I was watching Manchester United playing this game.
Were they good moves? The Leeds
defenders were just like traffic cones in these. But maybe they made United look really good. But United looked really good for these first couple of goals. They were very well worked. And then Lindelof strolls up and grabs one. Leeds get one back in a set piece via Rafinha, and then like clockwork, a late Manchester United pen, and then a late consolation banger from Stu Dallas. Like we said, McTominay, Daniel James even got one, and Lindelof is scoring now. What do we make of that?
Nah, man, you are fraudulent. I'm telling you, they're fraudulent. Leeds just didn't just. I like watching Leeds, and I'm a fan of Bielsa, but like, for God's sake, just teach them how to defend a little bit.
Let's talk about that, because United are up to 3rd now. They've had some, they've had. I guess we would probably say we've had teams flatter them, and they've bullied some teams that they've been able to open up the scoring against. Up to 3rd now. Their fans are back up and about. There's Ollie's at the wheel chat going on, and meanwhile you've got Leeds who are just shipping goals. Yes, they put 5 past the Newcastle side last week, but they're just copping goals, like coming around the relegation zone, and yet Bielsa can do no wrong. And he's probably the most lovable manager in the Premier League, other than like Klopp. Who's the bigger fraud here?
Well, that's how long you got. No, I don't think Bielsa's a fraud, but I just think they've got to realise that they're not going to get anywhere. You might win one game 5-0, but then you're going to lose the next 3 or 4 and concede, 6 a game. It just doesn't work like that. He's living in a fantasy land. Just you've got to be able to play in different ways, and you can't line up against teams who are known as being good on the counter attack, because they're going to rip you to shreds. And how long did it take? 2 minutes, and they were 2-0 down. And from a guy that doesn't really score too many, so it was made easy for him. And
you need a plan B, don't you? And it's hard after that, because like you'd think that like Bielsa's plan A would still be what you'd want to do after copping 2, because you still need to go for it, which is Bielsa's plan A. But I don't know what his plan B is.
Yeah, well, I would even say you just don't have just park the plan A at the start of the game and just sort of feel your way into the match, and then you can start your counter attack and fast movement. But their defense is shocking, and they're so lucky that there are some worse teams, and they'll probably comfortably finish mid-table, but still, when they lose, they're going to get absolutely destroyed. And
Well, they're
a
lucky.
few times.
They're lucky at the moment. They're sitting in 14th on 17 points, which is 3 points ahead of Arsenal in 15th. And then you go down to Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, and West Brom and Sheffield look firmly rooted to the bottom of the table at the moment. So they're basically they're just lucky at the moment that there are other teams just playing more shit than them. And let's talk about one of those teams then, George. Let's just skip down to Arsenal Everton. So Everton 2, Arsenal 1. This late surge from Arsenal wasn't enough as they went down again, this time to Everton. So Arsenal, as we said, 15th, just 2 points ahead of Brighton. Surely Arteta's got to go soon, hasn't he?
It sounds like I've been watching a lot of Arsenal fan TV for shits and giggles the last few weeks, and that's what they're saying now. He's not going anywhere. Like,
thanks for the memories.
at least, yeah. Well, I mean, there's issues in the squad. There's issues. He's chopping and changing, and he's second guessing himself. And the team are languishing, as you said, near the bottom of the table. But they're not going to get. They knew he was inexperienced, and it's really showing. And some of the stuff has not been his fault. With every time they seem to play, there's a stupid red card or a big mistake or something. One of the players does something dumb, but
I actually think he's been super unlucky in a lot of these as well. And I actually really like the style of football they were playing when he sort of first came in. It's been a bit, clearly the focus has been for the past little while has been trying to get them solid, and they have looked more solid. But unfortunately, at this level, you can be solid and still cop 2 goals, or and you've still got David Luiz and Rob Holding and others who are
Granit Xhaka good for a red card every few weeks
in the side. So I agree with you, George. I think that Arteta just needs a couple of transfer windows, and the fans are just going to have to accept that they're going to have a few pretty average seasons before this team sort of coalesces under Arteta.
Well, lucky they were only able to watch one game at the Emirates. So if there's a silver lining, it's that the Arsenal fans don't have to go to the games for a little while for the foreseeable future. But I think they'll give him the transfer window, and they'll let him sort of see the second half of the season out. And if things don't improve, well then maybe they might have to go back on their decision. But at the moment, I think it would be a little premature to get rid of him, unless you've lined up, your Pochettinos or your Allegri's, and they're demanding to start now. But I think it would make them look pretty foolish to get rid of him now.
What about Everton though, George? Are they where are they now? Like third, fourth, sitting fourth in the Premier League, 26 points. United are only ahead of them on goal difference. Where do we think they're going to finish?
Well, they're a chance for top 4. I don't think they will make it, just because I think some other squads were slightly better in the long, in the long run. But mate, they've got an amazing manager. See what happens when you've got an amazing manager. You back him, you let him impose his sort of style on the team, and get things organised and get the players he wants in. They backed the manager. They gave him money. He signed who he wanted to sign. He's been there. Has he been there a year now, or when did he come in?
Well, this is his first full season, but I meant like a calendar year. Calendar year, yeah. So I think he has been there for a calendar year now.
Yeah, so I think it just goes to show, there's no sort of transfer guru who's making their own decisions and then making him play them. He's said, I want these guys, I want this guy, I want this guy out, I want this guy in, and it's sort of coming to fruition.
Well, that's what happens when you get Carlo, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, do I think it'll, I don't know if Calvert-Lewin can go the whole season in the current form he's in. He's never done it before, so he'd have to do something he's never done before. But he's been, improving every year. So, my issue is, rely on Calvert-Lewin to lead the line for the entire season. I just don't know if he's got it in him, and I don't really think that. My concern is just what's around Calvert-Lewin, right? Like,
Digne, Coleman, in and out of the team with injury, James injury prone. Like it's all these guys who have got to support him and feed him. If he's got all those guys around him giving him service, he looks like a really complete centre forward. Like, he's got the height, he's got the athleticism, like he's got it all.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think you're right with their squad depth. And I think I saw Cenk Tosun on the bench for Everton. So I'm trying to think who their second striker is, because if I might, I mean Richarlison would probably go in there but he's been playing off Calvert-Lewin. So yeah, I think just their forward depth is a little bit light. And with relying on James to play a full season, he's already been injured a few games as well. So, but I've been impressed with Sigurdsson, actually, who sort of stepped up. He was sort of in and out at the start and kind of wondering where he'd fit in. So he's been impressive, and they're doing really well. So yeah,
it seems like he's the backup. He's the backup for James, and that's sort of his place in the team now. But he's filling it beautifully. Like, I mean, we know how talented he is. We know how good he is from set pieces and things like that. Like his delivery for that Yerry Mina header was brilliant. And I mean, Yerry Mina created it through his movement and stuff like that as well. But like, yeah, we know how good Gylfi can be. We might move on though to Leicester Tottenham. Leicester 2, Tottenham 0.
Another week where the better team lost, eh?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. Like Leicester, they've just been so hot and cold. I couldn't tell you how good they're going to play each week. I couldn't tell you against any opposition whether they're going to win or lose, how well they're going to play. Were they hot in this game, George, or was it just a good matchup against Spurs?
No. I mean, this is the problem for Spurs when they try and counter. Like Spurs, Mourinho seem to have one way they're going to play, and it's going to be that counter-attacking style. And then when the other team also likes to counter-attack, it's a game of sort of chicken. And Leicester were just Vardy and Maddison were just too good, and they were too clinical, and Spurs just didn't do enough. And that's been the criticism of Mourinho. It's been, what are Spurs going to do when they have to take the game to the other team? And as they started to do it, they were kind of picked off, and it could have been even more with that disallowed Maddison goal, which as you sort of have in your notes, Colby, was pretty nice. I guess the goals Leicester did score, a pen and the own goal, were somewhat fortunate, but they always looked like they were getting more dangerous, and it always looked like they were going to score. So I mean, I think the better team won on the day, and it's just a bit of a watch this space for Spurs and having to beat the teams that they should be beating, because they've been fortunate where they've picked off the better teams and deadly on the counter attack, and that's played into their hands. But there's going to come a time when they've got to beat all these other teams who are going to wait for Spurs because they know their strategy.
Well, they've got a really good run of games coming up. They've got Wolves, who, as we've seen, and we'll mention them later. But I mean, they went down to Burnley. They're having their own little mini crisis in the absence, I guess, largely of Raul Jimenez. But it just
makes sense.
Goes to show that how much the rest of the team works around them. But then Spurs have got Fulham, they've got Leeds, they've got Villa, and they've got Sheffield United. So I mean, we were saying a little earlier, like, the test for Tottenham would be like how they'd go against all the big teams. But I actually think that a real test for them now will be to see how they go against all these teams that they should be beating. So that's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches. Like they've pretty much got to get maximum points. Well, we'd expect them to get maximum points from all of those games if they're going to say they're like title contenders.
I agree. I think they're going to struggle in this patch because of their style of play, and you would have seen earlier in the season where they were, was it the West Brom game where Harry Kane scored in the sort of one of the last minutes, and they haven't been smashing the weaker sides. They've been actually playing well against the better teams. So there'll be a lot of pressure on Mourinho and Kane and Son to actually kill these games against the weaker opposition, especially if they can't just sit back and have 20% possession, which is, how they've been playing against the bigger sides.
And Leicester, I mean, like they blow hot and cold, but somehow they're second. Like,
you would have thought
they
would have been probably, in that 6 to 10 range, just given their slump in form and Vardy wasn't scoring. They banked
so many points at the start of the season. Yeah. They banked so many good wins, and then they've just, in the past couple have been a bit patchy. But they're just keeping the points ticking over, and I guess that's all they've got to do.
And a lot of the big teams have been playing each other of late, so they've sort of benefited by sort of being, just collecting points and sort of doing what they've had to do, not been playing great, and maybe they've sort of gotten over the form slump and now they're back on. But win against Spurs, can do them wonders.
And speaking of wonders, Liverpool, 7 wonderful goals against Palace.
I didn't think Minamino's goal was very good, so let's say 6. Let's give it 6.
Was good. It was very good. And look what it meant to him too. First goal in the Premier League. But this game was like the 10:30 game here, and I just arrived in Brisbane, and I was having to I was cooked after a massive week. It was like my last sort of week of work for the year, and I was about to switch this game on, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to catch it in the morning. And I'm sort of glad I did it that way, because I wouldn't have been able to stop watching this one. I think it just looked like one of those games that they just were on from the beginning. And Crystal Palace, what can you take from a game like this? There's nothing Guaita could have done for any of those. He was nowhere near any of them. They were all just solid goals. And
Crystal Palace are solid team usually defensively. So you just want to when Mane scored that one, you were just like, okay, he's back, because he hadn't scored in a while. And then, Salah coming off the bench, just wanting goals as well. So,
and when Hendo's scoring those kind of goals against you, it's just one of those nights.
I think I switched off when Hendo scored that goal. I was like, okay, fuck this.
That was like the one he scored against Chelsea a couple of years ago. He just pulls them out every now and again, and when he does that, you just know it's Liverpool's night. If Hendo's doing that, then just go home.
They were saying, I remember hearing the analysis guys at halftime, and they said both Liverpool and Palace had 3 shots on target, and Liverpool had just scored all their 3, and Palace hadn't. And much more clinical, and that's going to bode well for Liverpool, taking their chances in the title race, because they're sitting on top despite not playing the best football this season. Not playing their best football this season, and also the injuries they've been facing. So when you've got guys who are just scoring, and Firmino scoring as well and playing really well, actually, it's pretty good for Liverpool, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you need if you're Liverpool, just to get a game like that where you're just somehow on, and get a few more for the likes of Firmino, who got a clutch goal the week before. Seems to only pop up in those big moments to score clutch goals, but it'll do players like that a world of good in terms of their confidence. Teams who probably don't have a lot of confidence after playing this week, George. There's a few of them, but Brighton and Sheffield 1-1, and this game looked like Sheffield were going to get away with one after going down to 10 men.
Yeah.
Via Lundstrom getting an upgraded red for this challenge on Veltman. But look, they scored after that and looked like they were going to somehow hang on, but it had to be that guy Welbs stepping up.
He's done it a few times, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's another player who's just delivered clutch goals as well.
It's clutch finisher, Danny.
Yeah,
he's always been
very, very well taken too. This guy. It was lucky to fall to him, but he had a lot to do with it.
But you'd be Sheffield United, go down to 10 men, then take the lead, and then think, okay, we're going to just have to hang on for the result, and they don't. So is the writing on the wall? Probably for them. They've got a lot of work to do.
And as we've said, George, we haven't had you on the pod since our own Matty Ryan's been dropped from Brighton. What have you made of this whole situation?
Oh, I heard Graham Potter's comments and saying that who's the other keeper, they got Sanchez or something, better suits their team. That's absolute horseshit. I don't know what's going on. This is a real anti-Australian sentiment at Brighton, I think, and they shipped out Aaron Moy. Now it doesn't look, and Potter even said it doesn't look like Matt Ryan's got a future. Isn't he 28? What's he on about? He's played 120 games for them. He's been reasonably good for the whole time there. He's very good with his feet. I'm very confused about what's going on at Brighton. Are they getting prepared to get relegated or something and try and cut wages or something? What the hell's going on? And it's ridiculous. And you hope he can get out and get to a good club, but you'd think there'd be plenty of suitors. Yeah,
you would. No idea where Matty could go there. maybe other Premier League clubs that he could go to, but it'd be an uphill battle to sort of force his way past a few of the number ones there. There's talk that he could probably force Pickford out at Everton, but maybe there's the anti-Australian sentiment would stop him doing that as well.
Everton like Australians. What are you talking about? Everton.
Maybe he could do that, but
Timmy's
otherwise,
put a word in.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, yeah, Timmy, have a word to Everton. Otherwise, you'd see him going back to like a Western
Mariners.
European country or jeez, early days yet. Come on. But some other results, George, just to go through. Newcastle, Fulham, another point for Fulham, which is great for them. They seem to just be getting points despite the red and that own goal on Matt Ritchie. I reckon I've watched that on repeat like 100 times. It was just hilarious own goal.
Fulham have actually, if you have a look at their squad, their first 11 or 15 week one, and have a look at it now, it's actually quite different, and they've gotten a lot more solid. So I'm expecting them to have a big run in the second half of the season, because they've bedded in a few guys, and they do look a little bit better and more solid. And credit to Scotty Parker.
Yeah, and for hanging in there too, and the team seems to have a bit of belief about them. They're getting results, at least the draws here and there, which is what they need to keep the score, the sort of the points ticking over. It's all they need, and they look like they've just sort of got a bit of faith in
what they're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
They just need to be able to score a few penalties every now and then.
Yep. And Lookman, always looks a chance in these games. He's sort of always buzzing around and looks like he could get a goal. So if they keep him in the team, if they improve a little bit in January, maybe they could stay up. Especially if you've got the likes of Sheffield and Burnley and even Brighton looking like they're going to be in the mix for a relegation fight as well. So Fulham maybe with a chance. Southampton 0, City 1. We won't spend any time really on this one. This game looked quite tight, but City just managed to hang on to an early 1-0 lead. Like they
Sterling
didn't
got
actually
to put away a nice cutback, but City aren't as clinical as they once were, and that's why you're gonna see them having to keeping other teams in the game, where they used to run up big scores and 3 or 4 nils, and now they can't score as many goals, so the other teams do have a chance to get them, and they've dropped a lot of points because of that.
And if we saw this scoreline like last year, for example, if it was Southampton 0, City 1, the stats would read City had 30 shots and the Southampton keeper made 29 saves or something like that. But like it really wasn't that way at all. It was it was a pretty even game in terms of chances created.
Ings went off injured actually from memory, so I think that City did City a favour, because he's looking. He's been back for a few weeks from his old injury, and he was just looking to getting back into form and scoring goals. So, City are an interesting one. Yeah, just because it's very noticeable that they're not destroying teams like they were.
Crucial win for City, though. I mean, this is 7th versus 8th. This game now.
That Europa League
after the game,
League spot is going to be hotly contested.
So, I mean, City really needed this win, and it was like good for them to actually hang on and get the points. They're sitting 8th on 23 points now, a point behind Southampton. Crucial for City to keep grinding out these results if they want to be back in the top half, really, or back, trying to be in the top 6 where you'd think they should be. But as we said when we were covering or when we're looking forward to the round of 16 of the Champions League, like there's a lot of pressure on them in that competition, a lot of pressure on them in the Premier League, given where they are in the table. They're really going to need to, the squad, and with the fixtures coming as thick and fast as they are over this period, they're really going to need to just sort of be challenging in both competitions.
Well, unless like Sterling goes back to his form of sort of the last couple of seasons where he was scoring every week and probably 15 to 20 goals a season, they're no chance, because without Aguero, they're pretty. I feel like they're like average. They're gonna win a lot of games, but they don't have a striker. They don't have a world-class striker, so it makes a difference, and you can see that this season. So unless they fix Aguero's knee, then I think they're going to be struggling, but they're struggling to
by their own standards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he looks cooked, doesn't he, Aguero? I mean, he's got a lot of miles in the legs.
Yeah,
But he just can't seem to stay fit.
yeah. And they said it's going to be one of those ongoing issues that they're just going to have to manage.
Yeah.
For unless they can just get away with playing him once a week and not in European games or manage him like that, then it's going to be difficult unless they sign a replacement.
It's going to be very difficult for West Brom as well. Another 3-0 loss, this time to Villa. This game saw Livermore get sent off for an upgraded red for this challenge on Grealish, who you made a very big meal of this contact, but the VAR and the ref saw it as a bit of a lunging challenge and decided to send him off, and then it was just the El Ghazi and Grealish show from there.
Yeah, not Big Sam's what he would have wanted, first weekend, but that's one. I think where they probably Villa probably got away with it with the sending off, and then they just made the most of their playing against 10 men with no confidence. So,
and what's the reaction been over there to Big Sam coming back, George? Does everyone
a lot of enthusiasm
love him over there?
Yeah, a lot of enthusiasm. A lot of enthusiasm. Where just they just assume he's gonna save West Brom, and I don't know.
Well, he's never been relegated apparently.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's going to be a miracle if he could keep them up and to keep his own record intact. So I'll be watching this one with interest.
Well, he said he was reluctant to get back into it, so they had to convince him, and whatever they did worked. But we'll see if he can work his magic and. Who's he going to sign to get all the old boys back and see
get the band back together?
Get the band back together. But we'll see. I think their squad's not good enough, and if they don't invest seriously heavily, then they're going to probably struggle with what they've got at the moment.
Mm. And Burnley have lastly the other game from this morning or evening your time, George, is Burnley Wolves. Burnley got up 2-1. I didn't see this game at all. Don't know what you made of it, but it looks like an important win for Burnley at least to sort of stay clear of the relegation zone.
But Barnes and Wood scored for them, and they were doing it pretty comfortably. And Silva got a penalty in the 90th minute or something to make it 2-1. So kind of flattered. That the scoreline probably flattered Wolves, but Burnley, good win, and I think that's the first time Barnes has scored in a while. So Barnes and Wood show back on.
Tommy's had Barnes in his fantasy draft team since the start of the season. He's been trying to trade him off to anyone that will listen. He's been pumping up Barnes's tires, saying how well he's been training and all this other stuff. But maybe Tommy will want to hold on to him, and Burnley fans will certainly be glad to see him back.
Burnley coming back, yeah. So I think Dyche has been saying that they've been playing the way he's wanted them to play, and they've just started picking up points. So maybe they'll go on a run now. That maybe luck was against them. That's what he was saying. He said from a couple of months ago that all the stats indicate that they should be picking up more points, but they just haven't been. So he was saying it was other factors, luck, and what have you. And now they've got they beat Arsenal, didn't they? And they've beaten Wolves. So it's pretty decent results.
Good points. Yeah, now they've just got to start winning the games that they should be winning as well. Against typically the 6 pointers. They've really got to focus on those games as well, you'd think. But that's it for this week. The Premier League continues with the Christmas fixtures coming thick and fast. Starting again with Leicester Man United on Boxing Day Australia time, and then we've got the Portuguese Classico, Wolves and Spurs closing out the match day on Monday morning.
You got a Chelsea Arsenal in there as well. So
I've got to mention that, George. We've got a Chelsea Arsenal in there. What are you tipping for that one?
Oh, I don't have a fucking clue, to be honest. It's probably, but when Arsenal are shit, they somehow manage to frustrate Chelsea. But I think Frank, he's gonna make the boys really fired up for it. I think so. Hopefully we can Arsenal just keep their current form line.
Two frauds just going at it.
Oh yeah, lovely. No, I don't know about
Frank
that.
And Arteta.
Oh, I thought you meant Ollie and Brendan Rodgers. So.
Brendan, yeah, we haven't had a lot of chat about him because he's just been quietly keeping Leicester ticking over. But surely he'll be back to give us some more Brendan isms at some point as well. But that's going to do it for this week. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back after Christmas, probably with a pod around New Year's to cover match day 15 of the Premier League and round 1 of the A-League, which is kicking off as well. So if you haven't caught up on our A-League season preview, you can catch that wherever you find good podcasts.
It was a good preview episode. I've got to say, I was a bit disappointed with the lack of infrastructure and transport chat for the new MacArthur team. So I'm hopeful Tommy does a bit more research next time.
We'll have to get when we can find Tommy in the world. Next time we can get him on the pod, we'll have to make sure he's done his homework in terms of all of the transport chat around all of the teams, because it's not only MacArthur. I mean, he needs to sort us out for where he can find some of these Melbourne teams, because they're just moving targets at the moment. Like you've got to have them on Find My Friends or something like that. Your Western Uniteds and your Melbourne Cities, like we don't know where they're going to be popping up at any point in time.
Just Amy Park, by the sounds of it. I think they're all
everyone's just going to be playing in Amy Park.
Yeah, all meeting in the middle, mate.
Along with every other code and every other event, and Amy Park's just going to have something on every night.
Oh well, it's a good time. Good time to be in Melbourne.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, until then, enjoy the football.